Hello, everybody. Welcome to our another 30-minute Thursday with Sears Wealth Management and Insurance Solutions. My name is Mike Sears. I'm the president and founder of our company. And joining us today is Seth Morris, who's one of our financial advisors, and he's terrific. And we love having him with us each week. And we're also delighted to have so many of you join with us today. So thank you for being with us. And so Seth, you join with us today. We hope life is going well for you.
Everything's great. Thanks for having me back on. I think you're terrific too, Mike. But I'd like to thank all of our viewers who have joined us and have been watching these over the past couple of months. And just a reminder to everyone, if you'd like to participate during the video chat, just use the chat feature on your phone or computer, and we'll try and get to your questions as best we can.
And as always, at the end of our broadcast today, we have a raffle. And so one of you will be the lucky raffle winner. And so we hope you'll stay to the end so we can announce who you are. So Seth, you want to kind of introduce today's topic?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. So a couple of months back, we talked about, annuities and the role they can play in retirement planning. And apparently it was a big hit. We had a lot of our clients and people who watched the video, they asked, they wanted to see more about annuities. They wanted us to do another segment and talk specifically about them again. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk again about annuities, but with an emphasis in indexed annuities and the lifetime benefits that can be created from those.
Okay. In fact, just the other day, I went back and I watched the earlier segment on the annuities, and I loved it so much. I was thinking maybe we should just play the old one today. But we're live, and so we'll try to redo and add a few things. And by the way, if you haven't watched the previous one, we'd invite you to go back because the last one was very extensive. We extensively explored annuities, all the different types. We won't have time today to cover all of that, but we'll have a little bit of a review so that we can get ourselves prepared for those of you who are learning about annuities for the first time today.
Yeah, like I said, we're going to talk about indexed annuities and lifetime benefits, but to get there, maybe it'd be good, Mike, if you could start and just kind of talk basically again about what an annuity contract is.
Okay, so an annuity contract, more than anything else, is a contract between yourself, and an insurance carrier, a life insurance company. And obviously, if a life insurance company is the one that is administering this annuity contract, there must be some insurance feature of an annuity contract. And I think we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, we actually, they're issued by insurance companies. We actually had a question from, one of our clients, Greg. He said, what's the difference between an annuity contract and an insurance policy?
I think that's perfect. So let's talk about that for a minute. So we know a life insurance policy creates money that didn't exist before, right? With a little bit of premium, we do a little bit of an analysis and we think to ourselves. In fact, for a lot of families, they buy life insurance because they love somebody and they know that the major breadwinner in the family, if he were to die early or she were to die early, that there's a big hole financially in that family. And that life insurance contract underwrites time. It says that if I don't have enough time to accumulate those funds over a number of years, that with a life insurance contract, with a pen, an application, and a little bit of premium, we can recreate what we would have had to have saved maybe even over a lifetime. So I think most of us, Seth, what do you think? Most people are familiar with that concept?
Yeah, I think we are. An insurance contract creates money that doesn't exist. And so if that's what an insurance contract does, what exactly does an annuity do?
Okay, so an annuity contract says, I've already saved the money, Seth. I already have it. I've saved it over a lifetime. I'm still alive, right? I'm looking towards retirement. And so an annuity contract, the insurance feature of an annuity contract says, we're going to take that lump sum amount of money that you have saved, and we're going to pay it out to you over a lifetime or over a period of years. Oftentimes, it's paid over a lifetime. Even if we were to spend down all of the principal, that annuity contract would continue to pay that income for as long as we live. And of course, if you're married, it'll be payable for as long as not only you live, but as long as your spouse lives. And so that lifetime benefit, that is the insurance portion of an annuity contract. It is a way to guarantee income forever.
Okay, so they take my money, they guarantee me a lifetime payment. So what are the drawbacks to that type of an annuity or an arrangement with the insurance carrier?
Good question. So let's just suppose that you have, and by the way, this arrangement that you have, pension plans are very similar to this. If you've worked for an employer, let's say you even had money, Seth, that was in your 401k, right? And let's just say you've got $250,000 in your 401k, and they gave you an option. They're going to give you two options. They might say, so you have this $250,000. By the way, can you see that okay? Is that clear enough? Probably.
I can.
I'm going to change that. I'm going to use black. I don't think some of you can see that. So let's suppose I had $250,000 in my retirement plan, and my employer said to me, we'll give you a lifetime income for you and for your spouse if you're married, right? And let's just say that they said that we would pay you $15,000 a year for life, right? Payable to you for life. But Seth, what did I have to give up to get that $15,000 a year?
I had to give up my $250,000.
Yeah, I had to be willing to give the $250,000 so that I could get the guarantee on the income. And I've asked, by the way, Seth, many of our clients, do you like this arrangement where you could get life? By the way, the amount of money that I'm sharing with you on this live call is a fictitious number. I'm just giving you a number. So it's not an actual payout amount, but just to give you the principle that you give the insurance company the lump sum amount of cash in exchange for the lifetime income. And I've asked many of our clients, Seth, do you like this arrangement? And many of them say, I like the idea of having some part of my income payment payable to me for a lifetime.
And Mike, so, it seems, I've seen this many times with you as well. A lot of our clients, they do like that arrangement. A lot of people have elected that with their 401ks and pensions and things like that to get the lifetime income. And I think that goes back to, what is a person who's entering retirement or in retirement? What's their biggest fear, Mike?
I think the biggest fear, and those of you who are on the call, go ahead and use the chat feature. But I think the biggest fear is running out of money in retirement. I mean, you've seen me draw this. I call it, by the way, folks, this retirement mountain. And I like climbing mountains, even though I don't do it very often, but you get the idea. So you've seen me draw this before. The base of this mountain, by the way, or the base of all good financial planning, is cash for emergencies and protection. We were talking about the life insurance earlier, and protection in the event that some catastrophic event happens. And if the top part of this mountain here is retirement, on the left side of this, and most of us who are not retired are somewhere between here and here, working towards our retirement date, right? That's what we're working towards. And so this is where we're accumulating money over time until finally we get to retirement. And now we've got some major decisions to make, because on the back side of this is when we're already retired and now we're starting to take income, right? And so Seth, I think it's fair to say that most people, as far as life expectancies are concerned, can live well into their 80s and some into their 90s, right? It could
Hmm.
be, if you're retiring at 65, it is possible that you will live somewhere between 25 and 30 years. And so when you ask me the question, what is the biggest fear? The biggest fear that most people have is, can I safely live for the next 25 to 30 years and have what? What do I need to have during that 25 to 30-year period if I'm going to live comfortably in retirement?
We need income.
I need income. That's right. That is the question. And
Yeah,
so,
that.
go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
No,
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 you
no.
go ahead.
No, keep going.
I
Really.
was gonna say, yeah, no, that it definitely is one of the fears that we see all the time. Joyce commented. She said, "My biggest fear is, will I have enough money to get me through retirement? I'm afraid to retire because I don't know if the money will hold me." And I think that's why such a large number of people do say to their employers, they say, "Here, take my money, guarantee me the payments. I don't want to take any risks with this because we're living longer than ever before."
Yeah.
And it's interesting that longevity would be a scary thing, but it is in retirement. It is.
And so the insurance portion or the insurance feature of an annuity contract helps alleviate that very concern, is because we know that that payment can last forever. And so we know that we're going to safely get down this mountain, at least with some portion of it. And I like to say this a lot, Seth, that when we look at all the sources of income that are payable to us in our retirement years, and what are they that we see often? We see what? Social Security is one source of reliable income, assuming
Mm-hmm.
the government doesn't mess that up, right? That's one piece of it. What else
Mm-hmm.
do we see? What else do you see often,
You see
Seth?
pensions.
Pensions, right?
Mm-hmm. Required minimum distributions from our
Okay.
investment accounts.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
What else do
From
you
our
see?
IRAs.
Yeah, what else do you see?
What else do I see? I
Yeah,
see a lot. We're talking about annuities here. There are a fair amount of people that do use annuities to generate a guaranteed source of income in retirement.
yeah, that's right. And then there's systematic withdrawals from just investments, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So those of you who are on the call, when we're thinking about retirement, we're looking at all the various sources of income that can come to us. And what we would like to see, how much, or maybe even ask the question, how much of that retirement income do we want to be as consistent and as reliable, and in some cases, guaranteed? And obviously, if someone asks the question, well, how much money would you even put into an annuity? The answer is not all of it. Why is that, Seth? Why would we not put all the annuity money or all of our retirement funds into an annuity? Why would we do that?
Well, it goes back to that pyramid you drew, and at the bottom, one of those, foundations is cash. We want to have enough liquid cash because emergencies and life's going to happen, and we want to have access to our funds. And so, yeah, it'd be great to have all this guaranteed income coming to you, but you wouldn't want to give away all of your liquid cash to do it.
Okay, so every portfolio needs to have liquid cash. Some portfolios will need to have some portion of their income that has a guarantee. And there'll be some people, by the way, we've seen it, Seth, where there's some people that said, I'm very comfortable with the risks I'm taking and have all their money sitting in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that most people who are of modest means when it comes to retirement, when your assets are somewhere between the $300,000 and $500,000 range, there isn't a lot of room for error when you're trying to navigate having income that's going to last 25 to 30 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so perhaps, and I always say perhaps because each person's situation is unique and each person's situation is different, that perhaps having some portion of this income that has a guarantee to it or a pension. By the way, whenever I see from an employer that in addition to their 401k, they do have an actual pension, they were never going to get a lump sum in some cases. In other cases, they have a choice. But that pension takes a lot of pressure off the income of having to take withdrawals out of their liquid assets. And so we like to see some guarantees in here, and for the very purpose that we may live a very, very long time, right?
Yeah. So now we've talked a little bit about, these are immediate annuities. I give the insurance carrier my cash. They provide me a guaranteed lifetime payment, but I don't have access to the cash. But we also discussed, the need for liquidity and having cash available. So I think that's a good segue now into how an indexed annuity works. Maybe you could, help us understand that, Mike.
Yeah, I think I'll do that. So an index annuity, first and foremost, is a deferred annuity contract. What do I mean by deferred annuity contract? What I'm referring to here is that if I had, let's just keep these numbers the same. If I had $250,000 that was going into this index annuity, I may not be taking income out of this index annuity contract right away. What we've been talking about so far is an immediate annuity where I'm taking income within 12 months of setting up the contract. So I may defer having to take income out of this indexed annuity for 3, 4, 5, 7, maybe 10 years. And an annuity contract and an index annuity contract has two wonderful features. Remember, in the first example that I gave you, when I gave you this idea where we've got $250,000 in exchange for getting some income, I don't have access to this principal, right, Seth? I don't have access to this example. But in the index annuity, the insurance company said, what if we could still give you the guarantee? Again, I'm making up these numbers. I'm trying to teach you a principle that the index annuity still can provide an income guarantee that is for your lifetime, and if you're married, for your spouse. Now, the numbers will be a little bit different for each contract and the time period in which you take it. But it also has the ability, imagine if you could have the income guarantee, but also have access to some of the principal. And the index annuity will allow us to typically get to somewhere between 7 and 10% of that account balance during the first 7 to 10 year period of time. So I do have some liquidity. I don't have, there's no such thing, guys, as a free lunch. You can't get everything. So that there is some constraints here, but you have access to a part of the principal during the first 7 years or 10 years. Why do I say 7 to 10 years? It's because most of these contracts are usually 7 and 10 year contracts. And if you take out more than 7 or 10% of your account balance in any year, you could have you would have a surrender charge. And by the way, that surrender charge typically, and I'm just going to do this, I drew this last time in the last video that I did. Let's suppose that this is a 7-year contract, right? And so the surrender charge is a declining surrender charge. And so again, and I'm making up what the surrender charges are. They're a little bit unique for each insurance carrier and each contract. So the first year, if you took out more than 7 or 10%, you'd have a charge of 7 cents on the dollar. The next year it would be 6%. The next year it would be 5%, and so on until I get to the end of the 7th year. And then I have access to 100% of the money at the end of the 7-year period. Or if this was a 10-year contract, it would be the same concept, right? And so one of the things to consider, those who are listening today, is that we don't put all of the funds into the annuity contract. We may love the guarantee, but we have to have a balance between liquid money and income for guarantee. And every asset, as I said earlier, should have a purpose. The purpose of the index annuity is not great accumulation. They're not great accumulating tools. They are great income tools. That's where they shine. That's where their hallmark of creating lifetime income and still having money available. And obviously, the longer I can wait until I take income out of these contracts, the greater the lifetime income benefit will be. And I won't go into all the details of what the formulas are, but there actually is a mathematical calculation for every one of these index annuities to calculate what your lifetime income benefit will be. I guess I will say that a typical benefit might say something like this. The calculation will be, we're going to take whatever your initial deposit is, and we're going to increase it by 7% per year. And they'll do that every year, typically for 10 years. And then they'll multiply whatever that value is. In fact, we know that at the end of 10 years, that 250,000 would equal $500,000. But that's not what your account balance is. That's the calculation used for creating income. And so we could say that in these contracts that we're going to have some modest growth in the actual deposit that you put in these contracts. But for income purposes, if you can wait long enough, those income benefits, Seth, can be really quite remarkable. And they're payable again over a lifetime. And even if I spent down my principal, and typically by the time you're in your 80s, you've spent down all the principal in this contract because you're taking a high level withdrawal out of these contracts. So let's suppose someone is maybe 80 years of age or 85 years of age, and we've spent down the principal in this one contract to zero. Seth, what happens to the income even if I spend down the principal to zero?
Well, your lifetime payments just continue.
That's right. I want all of you to try to, let that mull around in your head a little bit. What he just said was, even if the principal went to zero, the income stream will never stop. It'll be payable to you forever. And if you're married, that will be payable to you, to your spouse. By the way, another question came, it says, if I switch my dual annuity to a single payer, does that increase my yearly payout? That was another way of saying, let's suppose that I'm married and I decide that I don't want income payable over a lifetime for both me and my spouse. Would that increase the payout amount that you're getting on the lifetime? The answer is yes. However, if you passed away, your spouse would only continue to get that income until the account balance went to zero, right? It wouldn't be lifetime. So yes, your income would be higher if you had a single payer, one life instead of two life. And so for most people, if they're married, most couples that I see will take a joint payout. It's a little less income, not significantly less, to guarantee that if something happens to them, their spouse will continue to get the same income.
Mm-hmm. So, Mike, you said, we get this guaranteed payment. The longer that we can wait and let this contract grow and accumulate value, the greater our payment is. And you said after about 7 to 10 years, we typically have access to 100% of our account balance.
Yeah.
Does that mean that I get this guaranteed payment and I can dip into my account and take out as much money as I want and keep the payment around forever?
No, because, again, there's no free lunch, right? I mean, so if I start taking large withdrawals out of this account, what do you think will happen to my income payment? It's going to reduce.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, once you start the income, whatever the income amount is when you start it, let's just say it's $15,000, you have to live within that income stream to keep the guarantees. So if your lifetime income benefit is $15,000 in this example, if you take out $16,000, then if the account balance goes to zero, then it's over. There's no more income. So whenever you start the income, whatever that amount of income is, you take that for a lifetime. As long as you live within it, the guarantees are in force forever, and your spouse will continue to receive that income, even if you live, even if you should pass away, and even if the account balance went to zero.
So it becomes liquid, but it really is an emergency account. We want to make sure we have enough liquid cash in other accounts that we wouldn't have to touch that and destroy the lifetime income that we've been working towards.
That's correct. And you don't know what will happen 10 years from now, right? What will the world look like? But my guess is at the end, if you waited 10 years to take the income out of this contract, the level of income would be very large. And most likely you would continue that. But at
Mhm.
the end of 10 years, when all of these surrender charges drop off, you bought yourself an option, right? Because if there's something else that you need to do or want to do or need the lump sum and you're out of the surrender charge schedule, you still have access to it. And I should also mention that, is there any fee with this contract? The lifetime income benefit usually does have some fee tied to it. And it's now not all. There are some that have zero fees. But typically, we see that the cost for this income rider that's guaranteeing income for a lifetime is somewhere between 1% to maybe 1.3%, something like that. And that fee comes right out of your accumulation value each year. That's typically
Okay.
that's typically what you see.
I think, Mike, just before we near the end here, we did have a question from Joyce. She asked, because a person is taxed so much when they take out their 401k and take distributions from it or from their IRA, should that just go into an annuity? And maybe you could touch just on how an annuity is taxed when we take income from it.
Okay, so when we take withdrawals from an annuity that's not an IRA contract, we gave this example. Let's suppose that I'm going to make this simple. Let's suppose that the amount of money that goes in is 100,000. And let's just suppose in that year it earned 3,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I earned $3,000 of interest in that year. If I pull out $3,000 out of that contract, I'm pulling out the interest first. And by the way, that interest is taxable at ordinary income tax rates. Okay. If I were to take out $3,100, and in that first year I had $3,000 of interest, that extra $100 is a return of my principal, which is non-taxable. Okay. But we changed this is an IRA. And if we have an IRA contract, then all of that money, all the interest and all the original deposit is 100% taxable, no matter what I take out. If I take a $5,000 withdrawal, it's all taxable because IRA money is all 100% taxable when I take the money out.
So moving my 401k into an annuity does not change the taxable nature of that money.
It doesn't make it worse. It doesn't make it better. But what it does do, and we didn't really talk about this because the last feature, Seth, of an annuity, of an index annuity, is that I protect my principal.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to cap the interest. We're going to link it to an external index, S&P 500, the Dow, another contract. And when that index is positive, we get interest up to a cap. If it's negative, let's say it went negative 20%. What have I lost? Zero. It's a zero for the year. So I have some upside, and when the market is negative, I don't lose any of my principal at all.
Yeah, I think we could spend another 30 minutes just talking about how indexed annuities grow.
Yeah. So maybe just one last comment that I'd like to say is that the index annuity has a place for many people who want some portion of their income on a guaranteed basis. And that's really where it shines. And if you want to protect principal with some upside potential in the marketplace, in addition to stocks and bonds and other market value investments that you have, it is a very nice complement to that. And let's all agree, I think we could all agree that we are financially, as a country, we are in an interesting time. And I'm being very kind when I say that. There is more upheaval in the economic world than ever before. Expect volatility to increase. And this is a nice place for some portion of those funds to safeguard those assets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Seth, what do you think? Have we done any good here? I guess we're getting down to our time here.
I hope so. I think, we attack this subject thinking we're going to get through it all. And I know there's a lot left that we could still talk about yet. But I think this is a great discussion. Hopefully our viewers thought so as well. We just want to let everyone know our next 30-Minute Thursday is scheduled for October 7th. Little change of pace here where the topic is, I'm still young. What should I do to plan for retirement? And so, we hope everyone can join us there. And we'd like to thank everyone who joined us today.
Thank you very much, Seth, for those closing remarks. By the way, There is one other question that I just want to quickly get to, and that is, rather than take the money, can you borrow against one of these and then pay it back? The annuity typically does not have a loan feature tied to it. It's not like a 401k where you can take a loan and pay it back. So you take a withdrawal and it's out of the contract. So that's pretty typical. All right, our raffle winner is Keith J. And Keith, I know exactly who you are, and we wish you well. And we're very excited. Our staff will be in touch with you. And what did they win, by the way? Oh, a $25 Amazon gift card. Wow, I would even like that. So Keith, you won a $25 Amazon gift card. And so on behalf of Sears Wealth Management and our entire staff, Seth, thank you for being so gracious, being with us as always. We wish all of you a wonderful rest of this beautiful Thursday. Hope you have a great weekend. And we'll see you again on October 7th at the same time.